المحاضرة السابقة اللي تكلمنا عن الدنتال سيتنج، الدنتال كلينيك، عن الايديال سيتنج في الدنتال كلينيك، راح نشوف عليه فيديوهات حتى بس ربع ساعة.
To properly position the chair, make sure
dentist position.
that you sit all the way back on it to distribute the body's weight. Adjust the height of the chair so that your feet can be flat on the floor and that your hips are slightly higher than your knees. Adjust the lumbar height to rest in the lower back. Position the seat tilt lever so that the back of the seat is about 1 inch higher than the front of the seat. This helps keep the natural curvature in the lower back. A saddle chair allows you to be halfway between sitting and standing. The height of the chair is positioned such that the hips are significantly higher than the knees, but that the feet are still on the floor. If there is a back to the saddle chair, position it so that it rests in the lower back for additional support. In this position, breathing from the diaphragm improves, and you can get closer to the patient as the thighs are sloping downward, allowing more access. The stools move easily since you are using your stronger thigh muscles instead of calf muscles like in a standard chair. It also allows for a more neutral lumbar curvature, which allows for a more neutral head position. Standing while delivering treatment is occasionally needed during treatment of patients who are compromised and may not be able to lay back in the chair. It is also beneficial to mix up your routine and stand for portions of your treatment delivery. You could consider sitting for treatment of the maxilla and standing for the mandible. Consider periodontal therapy treatment for 45 minutes while standing, then sitting for the next patient. Vary your movements and avoid extreme bending, stretching, and twisting just as you would while seated. To stand, bring the patient chair up to you. Do not lean over your patient. You should deliver treatment in the same clock positions that you would do when sitting. Make sure that you move the patient's chair and head as needed to maintain posture. Make sure at any of these positions that you stabilize your lower back by pulling your stomach muscles in towards the spine. Be sure to inform the patient that you're sitting their back. Depending on the height of your patient, adjust the headrest. Then ask them to slide their head to the top of the headrest. When treating the mandibular arch, the chin should be down, and for the maxillary arch, the chin should be up. For right-handed clinicians, when treatment is done on the patient's right side, the head will be straightforward and neutral. For treatment on the left side, have your patient turn slightly to the left or away from you. To position the light for the mandible, keep it within arm's reach at a range that is perpendicular to the floor or slightly above the patient's head. And for the maxillary arch, position it perpendicular to the floor or slightly below the patient's head.
Clock positions we have to.
Clock positions are referred to where you sit when you're treating a patient. You can think of yourself as the clock hands moving around the patient. So for example, I'm at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, and 3. For right-handed clinicians, my home base position is 9 o'clock. The left-handed clinicians will be opposite at 3 o'clock. I will scale surfaces of the teeth based on them being towards or facing me here at 9 o'clock, or away from me at the 9 o'clock position. For example, sitting in the 9 o'clock position, I'm going to scale surfaces of the teeth that are towards or facing me, which are the posterior buccals of quads 1 and 4, and in quads 2 and 3, the posterior linguals. For anterior surfaces, the tooth is divided in half, and the towards surfaces are the ones that are closest to me in 9. So for example, here on 22, I draw an imaginary line down the tooth, and the mesial is closest to me. Thus, it's my towards surface. This will continue on 23 and 24, the mesial surfaces. But on 25, 26, and 27, the towards surface is the distal surface. Once again, when I'm cleaning a towards surface, I will sit at 9 o'clock. For all surfaces away, clock positions vary. For the posteriors of quad 1 linguals and 2 and 3 buccal, you'll sit from 10 to 11. For quad 4 linguals, you can sit from 11 to 1. For anterior surfaces away, you can sit from 11 to 1, depending on where you have the patient's head tilted. One position that you want to limit for ergonomic purposes is 8 o'clock, or 4 o'clock for the left-handed clinician, as it causes you to twist your torso beyond the recommended range.
احنا بنختبر الاوبراتيف بدنا نشتغل على اللور 6 فكان الدكتور علي لازم تقعدون يا اما 8 يا اما 7 يا اما 9.
شوف احنا سبق قلنا احنا standing for the examination.
لا مو ستاندينج كنا يعني
بس إذا sitting
انا قعدت يعني الوضعيه اللي ريحتني انه هي شو اسمه 9
9 هو الأيديال 9.
بس
7 يصير
ما يوصل.
يعني احنا يمكن هذه عندنا بس يعني اليوم بعيد احنا نحكي انه احنا نقدر نوصل الاكسسبيلتي والفيزابيلتي الوصول والرؤيه الواضحه. يعني هو عادي لو واحد 9 ونص يعني هي هاي فكره من عندنا يعني اوكي عشان يعني نفسروها بهاي الطريقه. هاي المحاضره يعني فيري سهله يجي من عندنا ام سي كيو يجي او الخيارات يعني شيء كلش بسيط يعني ما راح يعني تضيعون بيها بس مجرد تفهموها يعني تفهموها يعرفوا. وهو نزل باور بوينت يعني مو ما راح تنزل لكم لا وورد ولا PDF هو باور بوينت.